Today I'm going to talk about the Ark of Covenant. What does it represent? It represents two things. One is the presence of God, and secondly, Jesus Christ. Only these two, no other. So in this video, I'll show you how it represents the presence of God. Throughout the Old Testament, we can read stories showing how the Ark of Covenant represents God's presence. I will lay out 7 observations how the Ark of Covenant represents God's presence. First, where there's God's presence, there will be prophecies and revelations. God communicates, like the stories in Numbers 7 verse 89. Moses heard the voice speaking to him from between the 2 cherubim above the atonement cover on the Ark of the Covenant law, and it says there, in this way the Lord spoke to him. Also the story in 1 Samuel chapter 3 verse 3 to 4. Samuel was lying down in the house of the Lord where the Ark of God was. Then the Lord called Samuel. Secondly, where there's God's presence, there will be blessings. God blesses. Now King David was told, the Lord has blessed the household of Obed-Edom and everything he has because of the Ark of God. So because of the Ark of God, because God's presence was there, the household was blessed. Number 3, where there's God's presence, there will be guidance and provisions. God leads and provides. Numbers chapter 10 verse 33. So they set out from the mountain of the Lord and traveled for 3 days. The Ark of the Covenant of the Lord went before them during those 3 days to find them a place to rest. The Ark of the Covenant of the Lord went before them. God's presence went before them. God went before them. Therefore, they received guidance and provisions. Number 4, where there's God's presence, there will be miracles. God performs miracles. In Joshua chapter 3 verse 13, as soon as the priest who carried the Ark of the Lord set foot in the Jordan, its water flowing downstream was cut off. It was a miracle because God's presence was there. Number 5, where there's God's presence, there will be deliverance and victories. God delivers. In the book of Joshua 6 verse 2 to 5, the Lord told Joshua to march around the city once with all the armed men, and they were doing this for 6 days, and the 7 priests to carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. So the ark of God was there with them. And on the 7th day, the wall of the city collapsed. So God had delivered Jericho into their hands, and they had victories, because God was there with them. God's presence was there. Number 6, where there's God's presence, Satan will bow down, they will be crushed, because God reigns. Like in the story in 1 Samuel chapter 5 verse 2 to 4. They carried the Ark of the Covenant into Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. When the people rose the next day, there was Dagon fell on his face on the ground before the Ark of the Lord. And then they took Dagon back in his place. But the following morning, there was Dagon again, fallen on his face on the ground before the Ark of the Lord. And it's written there, his head and hands had been broken off and were lying on the threshold. So because God's presence was there, Satan was defeated. Number 7, where there's God's presence, there will be his glory, glory of God. In 1 Samuel chapter 4 verse 21 to 22, this lady said, the glory has departed from Israel, for the Ark of God has been captured. What she's saying is this, that the glory is gone. There's no more glory of God, because God's presence wasn't there anymore. Now we know that the Ark of the Covenant represents God's presence. Here is the summary how it represents God's presence. Because when the Ark of Covenant was there, number 1, there were prophecies and revelations. Number 2, there were blessings. Number 3, there were guidance and provisions. Number 4, there were miracles. Number 5, there were deliverances and victories. Number 6, Satan was defeated, bowed down, and crushed. And number 7, there was his glory, the glory of God. So how about now? In the Old Testament, the Ark of Covenant represents God's presence. Does that mean without it now, God's presence is no longer with us? Not at all. Because before Jesus died, he said, "And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to help you and be with you forever, the Spirit of truth." Then it says, "For he lives with you and will be in you." Who is the Spirit of truth? 1 John 4 verse 13 says, "He has given us of his Spirit." The Spirit of truth is God's Spirit. The Holy Spirit is with us. We do not need the physical Ark of Covenant anymore, because God has sent his Spirit to dwell in us. God's presence is now with us forever. So that's the end of part 1. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Next time, I'll talk about how the Ark of God represents Jesus Christ. Stay in tune.